John Oliver, you're a muppet, and I mean that with as much disrespect as I can muster. There you go, just thought I'd start on that note. Welcome to Christianity Out Loud. Welcome to Weekly Word. My name is Steve. Yes, Mr. John Oliver. Everybody's favourite current flavour of the month. British person over in the US telling them exactly how their country should be run. I love it. Alright, so no mucking around this week, straight into it. So he released a video, or a video of his has been circulating. There's been a bit of reaction in response to this already, but I feel it's necessary to do it from a perspective here as well, because we all know just how trigger happy, in quotes, our favourite Victorian Premier is regarding, just cutting up children. So he's released, John Oliver's released this. Well, it was on his show. I don't know what his show is. And he spent a fair amount of time just eviscerating or attempting to eviscerate basically anybody right of centre, or anybody who happens to have this radical notion that, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't castrate children, we shouldn't chemically castrate children, and we shouldn't perform permanently altering physical operations on children who are yet to go through puberty. Radical idea. I get that. I don't want to, push too many boundaries here, but the idea that letting children be children and go through all of the changes that occur naturally, let them do that before undergoing any inverted commas care, or the simple logical argument, obviously not a factor here for John Oliver, but if children cannot consent to sex with an adult, then they certainly cannot consent that an adult performs life-altering, physically altering, permanent surgeries on them. Hysterectomies on 10-year-olds, say. This is one of my hills. This is one of my hills. I am planting the flag, the line is in the sand, and I'm not budging anywhere. So, John Oliver, reading from an article in everybody's favourite unbiased journalistic organisation. I say unbiased, I mean radical left, known as The Guardian. Only The Guardian could come up with a defence this good. John Oliver looked into the extraordinary legal attack on transgender rights in the US. Pause right there. See, not my biggest issue. My biggest issue is the content of what he said and his thoughts and his ideas. That's my biggest issue. But I would say a very close second here. The man's British or English, right? So what is he doing telling Americans, or attempting to influence American political policy? Why is he over there under the guise of entertainment? I use that word loosely too. Why is he under the guise of entertainment and comedy, another loose term, attempting to tell his American audience, as a British person, why their rules make no sense? See, I don't know why we look to British people as the font of all knowledge and intellect. I look to John Oliver and go, no. Yeah, I look to Piers Morgan, flip a coin. Sometimes he can be right on the money, other times He's so far off the mark, it's almost amusing. But, back to John Oliver here. He goes on and on and on. And I'd encourage you to go and watch the video, because he uses that many inconsistencies. It's almost funny. But because he's absolutely genuine regarding his inconsistencies, it's not funny. And his arguments really boil down to feelings matter over everything else. Okay? No logic, no biology, no science, no nature. Feelings matter. Okay? There's been a fair increase in this sort of behaviour and attitude from these sorts of people over the past 4 or 5 years, really. We in Australia, luckily, managed to catch our drag queen story hour library sessions pretty early, and there was enough of an outcry here that, to the best of our knowledge, that hasn't occurred here again, thank goodness. But plenty of that going on elsewhere. See, what it boils down to is this. We look at this logically. Okay, I'm going to use logical brain here. Forget the trans issue here for a minute. Forget that. If you are a parent, okay? If you are a parent, if you are a teacher, an educator, early childhood, primary or elementary, up into secondary or junior and senior high school, do we let children, really regardless of age, do we let them do what makes them feel good? Maybe once they hit a certain age and understand. But if my son wants to eat ice cream for dinner, what do I say? I say no. Why do I say no? Forgetting the fact it's a dessert and a treat and whatnot, does ice cream have the nutritional value that he needs in a meal? No. It might make him feel good at that point in time. But if he has ice cream for dinner for a week, 2 weeks, a month, what's going to happen to him? I know because I understand. So I don't let him do that. And I, at the moment, am king of this castle, if I can use that terminology. I am the head of this house. So at the moment, it's my way. He's old enough to leave home, go and live on his own. He can do what he likes in his house. See, this idea that feelings matter more than facts. Okay? If you look at statistics, if there are no intervention in children who claim to have gender dysphoria, they claim to be born in the wrong body, if there's no intervention, close to 100% statistically will grow out of that phase. What more do we need to know? Fact. My son comes to me and says, think I'm a girl. I'll be saying, you're not. I want to be a girl. No, can't happen. Okay. Let's go through all of the natural changes that occur and let all of those chemicals and hormones run through. Okay. Same with my daughter. She says, I want to be a boy. No, not going to happen. Okay. The suicide rate for that group of people is about 40%. Pre and post transition. So any surgical alterations has no effect, statistically speaking. And along with that, the number of people who now regret their changes and are now starting to share their stories on the YouTube, on the Rumble, on these platforms that are, hiding them, are going, what have I done? What have I done? There is a social contagion aspect here where it is peer pressure. It is almost like it is this generation's goth or emo movement. I'm going to be different. I'm going to dye my hair black, wear dark makeup, dark clothes. Okay. This generation seems to be on trans. And unfortunately, we adults are enabling it for who knows why. Who knows why. And okay, why do I care? Why does John Oliver care? Why does he care? His platform is one of a reasonable size. Why is he influencing policy like this? Why? And where are we standing up to this? I mentioned a few videos ago that Victoria will circumvent parents. Circumvent them. Not include them on any of these transitions. No, we're going to consider that the child is independent, or I forget the actual terminology. So the child can just go and make this decision as a 12-year-old, doesn't need their parents' permission. The school will sign off on them, thinking that they're old enough to make their own decisions as far as this is concerned, essentially emancipating children, and can go ahead with all of these chemicals and surgical treatments without parental permission as a 12-year-old who can't drive, can't buy alcohol, can't buy tobacco products, can't consent to any sexual relationship. My goodness. We are in the age of the child sacrifice version 2. We used to sacrifice children to Moloch, not me personally, but if you go back and read your Bible, that's what it was. There was child sacrifice back then. And guess what we're doing? We're sacrificing children here at the altar of God knows what. And if you want to, you call me cynical, except I posted on the Facebook this afternoon, or one of the social medias this afternoon, that child transition surgery was a $2.1 billion business in 2021 and is expected to grow exponentially until 2030. We can make a quick dollar out of cutting up children. Do you think these very same people who are driven by financial gain only, you think they're going to have a moral conscience? John Oliver doesn't know that, or if he does know that, he doesn't care. This is one of the hills that I am very, very prepared to figuratively die on. My flag is planted. There is a line in the sand here. You come from my children, you're going to face difficulties. And we need to stand collectively as a society. Okay, yeah, I'm a Christian. Forget that. As a decent, functioning society, we need to stand against this radical ideology that is just sacrificing children at the altar of an almighty dollar sign. John Oliver, you're part of the problem, and you are a muppet of the highest order. Again, I mean that with all the disrespect I can possibly muster. Until next week, take care of your children, watch what they're being taught, and God bless.